time has come to dive into a deep and serious work by Rachmaninoff. The 10th prelude of Opus 32 in B minor has the nickname The Return, because it is known for a fact that Rachmaninoff was inspired by a painting when he wrote it. It's a painting by the Swiss painter Arnold Böcklin that has this name, The Return or The Homecoming. And just to give you a taste of this world, there is another Böcklin painting that served as an inspiration for Rachmaninoff's major symphonic poem with the name The Isle of the Dead. It's very grand and evocative in the darker regions. Now, in The Return, we have this theme of homecoming in the painting. We see a man sitting by a pond and looking at a house in the woods with a lit window. He has been away for some time, we understand from the title, and he appears to have some ambivalent feelings for coming home, so he pauses before the final arrival. Now, it's very unclear exactly what's happening in the painting. It leaves a lot up to our imagination. And Rachmaninoff shares his interpretation of this painting in the prelude. And the first section is anything but happy to come home. It's very solemn and sad. Then there's a middle section, a big build-up to what feels like an epic hero's return. But then it's like it's too much to bear and the music disintegrates again back to the initial character. Also, Rachmaninoff remarked that this was his favorite prelude. So let's have a closer look at how the music is constructed to create these rich feelings. So we start with this Lento section that sounds like this. So I'm going to spend quite a lot of time on the start here to look really closely at this material, because this is what he uses for the whole piece. And there's three aspects. First, we have this lovely texture of the melody on top. Like there isn't, maybe there should be beams on the top note, but this is a way of writing. You have these chords all the time, but you should definitely play it like that. Think of it as a melody line. Even though we have a lot of other chords underneath it. They're just secondary voices. So then the melody comes on the first beat, and then you have the bass chord getting on the second beat. Boom. It's a lovely anticipation of not a bass, and then the bass comes, and after a while you almost get into like a hypnotic state, because you always know it's very regular, it's going to come. So that's the first aspect. The second aspect is about the rhythm, this dotted triplet rhythm, because it's not very common, it's not totally uncommon either, but it's a rhythm that's emblematic in one piece in the classical repertoire. In Beethoven's 7th Symphony, in the first movement after the slow introduction, it's a vivace, and it sounds like this. And Wagner called this symphony the apotheosis of the dance, because it uses this lot of different dance rhythm, and in the first movement is this dotted triplet. So that's just historical background, not directly in this, but so in the Rachmaninoff, this set of Opus 32, the 13 preludes, Rachmaninoff comes back to this rhythm in a couple of other preludes as well, and I'm just going to play excerpts of them. So first in the second prelude in B flat minor, it goes like this. So we have this rhythm on every beat, almost the whole piece of this prelude. Then towards the end of the set, in number 11, in B major, it's not very clear because it can sound like another rhythm with the upbeat, but it's actually this rhythm. So, and then in the very final prelude of the set, number 13 in D flat major, there is just a small section after the introduction. It's like a window, a nostalgic window when it goes like this. And so on. Lovely music. So in all these examples, it's the same rhythm, dotted triplets, bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, pum. It's got a moving forward inherently to it. And in number 10, the return, the prelude we're supposed to be looking at, he puts this rhythm in a slow setting. So already we feel this like it's a memory of something that was originally had much more energy to it, and now it's like we're remembering it. Okay, that was about the rhythm. Now the third feature of this material is of course the harmony, but it's not so complicated. Just in the beginning we only have two chords. It's E minor and B minor. And when you have these two chords, so E minor is the subdominant minor to B minor. So when you only have those two minor chords, you get this sad character of not much hope, only the minor chords. And I'm going to take one other example from another Russian, slightly after Rachmaninoff. There's a piece, a movement that starts with only this minor, tonic minor, subdominant minor, and also the dominant minor. It's Shostakovich's second piano concerto, the second movement, the slow movement. So here he uses the dominant minor also. This is in C minor. So it starts like this, super beautiful piece. So this is the strings playing. So you already directly feel this solemn character. So this is the same. C minor and F minor, tonic minor, subdominant minor, and then dominant minor. It's like a modal quality. We have it like that. So Rachmaninoff, we only have the subdominant and the tonic. Okay, I've played this a lot of times now. So this is a new chord, the E minor with a 6 minor 6. And now going to G. Just this detail here, the melody stays on one note 3 times and the harmony changes on the same note, so G to D to B minor. So the same note is reinterpreted in different ways, you know, that's general feature of the painting and the music here. Now we get another phrase that's pretty much the same as the first, but in a sequence starting one note lower. We end up on a major chord for the first time. And now suddenly mezzo forte, and the rhythm, the upbeat here is eighth notes and not a triplet. That's new here. It's just a detail, but he means something when he writes these details, because this comes as a more of a surprise on the surface level. Because it's going here to C major, and now back to the tension and minor. And now we have been going down for the whole bit. Now we start to go up a little bit. Something is moving in the left hand. We get this lovely tension chord. So we have an E minor as the root, but then these dissonances, they need to resolve, and they resolve in an as echoes upward. Really nicely written. With a rhythm. Again. And now poco più mosso. Here is why I feel the Beethoven is lying underneath, because now we start to get some energy with this rhythm here. But we go down. Now we have this tension chord, and it resolves going down instead. And I think you should take some time here to bring out these dissonances when they resolve. Now this is the motive again, and we have come down a whole octave. And now starts the second section of the piece, which is this big contrast. It's really powerful and heroic. So we have 4 bars of building up first. Now with the F sharp minor in the bass, this is a dominant bass, so not stable, it needs to go somewhere. So the bass goes down, and we have just the same motive in the middle voices here, and then, you know, an extra layer of repeating chords over the melody. Oh, and pesante means heavy. Reach this chord, and we just almost get stuck on the chord, but we know it's gonna go somewhere, so I'm gonna play this. This is so amazing. Also, fortissimo is like the feeling of, but it's still only lying under for now. You can't play fortissimo, you need to play these chords really soft, because the melody needs to be heard. The accents. Okay, very emotional. This is the hero's return in some way. So we start off with this. It's almost a hollow, empty chord, because it's got no third. It's only a sus for F sharp sus with B in the bass, or B minor, or B with the 5th and the 9th, C sharp being the 9th. So the effect that comes here is after we've been on this chord for a long time, go to D, but it's still only the D with no third, and the ninth, the melody is on the ninth, and then it resolves upward to the third, so finally we get a pure major chord. And okay, let's look at the melody for this section. It's kind of cut from the same cloth as the beginning, but it's not exactly the same, but we have the same movement of going between two notes just close to each other. And then starting over again. The same trick here, going to the G, third, and the same back to D. So the melody is just slowly going, reaching upward. So you need to save the the power from the start, because it's needs to last for many bars. So when we reach to the highest point in the climax, let's do it one more time. So we reach the C major. It's like all this energy, it's too much to bear, so you can't continue, it needs to calm down again somehow. So it kind of swivels downward and just gets stuck here. The big ritardando, I think, and a fermata. So then we go straight, it grows organically into the next section that starts here, and now we're back to this kind of empty space, these hollow chords. So the reason it's empty is when the bass comes on the second beat and the off beat, we're used to having a bass, the full chord, but now when we get the bass, we only get the octave and an octave in the right hand, a new register as well. So we get this lovely atmospheric sound. This is just a secondary voice. Okay, now let's fill it with the melody, the important thing. So again we have fragments of the theme. Kind of finding its way upward. Okay, together. So it reaches a high point and then it goes down again. Typical direction, always like that. And when we reach the top, we get suddenly a doubling of the frequency. Leggero is lightly, and it's only mezzo forte. So it's something, within that's starting to move much more. almost spastic, these. It's super hard to play this because you need to change the position so much and practice so much, and I still almost can't play it. Going back down into the well again. And now going upward again when we reach the down point. Now for this is gonna grow into a small cadenza, and this cadenza is only on one chord, the E minor 7th and 9th. As a scale almost, Rachmaninoff just plays with these notes within this chord. Now more clear waves here. And there's no real closure, there's only dissemination up in there. And a fermata, and now we're back with the initial section again. So all these like dream-like things that happened was probably just some thoughts, inner life, and now we're back to a sober contemplation of some kind. Now for the second phrase is slightly another direction than in the first time. But you feel the direction is going, it's not very hopeful, this. So this final phrase can almost be seen as a cadence, going from B minor with the F sharp in the bass, and you could do cadence. Like, of course you wouldn't, but instead of that, Rachmaninoff uses this +5 augmented chord instead, with D in the bass. So it's the same leading note. That's the leading note of the dominant, but slightly twisted and off. And now for the final statement, we get the B major chord. It's really outside the realm of where we think we are. And going straight back to minor. So normally this is a bit weird to have it, but it's weird music. And so it's the same ambivalence, major or minor, where should we go, what's the direction, but we end on the minor. The deep bass. Thanks for watching Sonata Secrets. A special shout out to my Patreon sponsors Y. Garnevsky, J. Nierman and B. Nguyen.